Oh, moving on to something a little bit more happier. Geez, three kind of depressing stories, but also uplifting at the same time. Take a swig of whiskey just to recover. Where are we on time? 45 minutes. Okay, well, this might be a little bit long here. So let's get into another 5 of my top 100. So if you're unfamiliar with this type of segment of my show, I made a top 100 list of my favorite movies of all time. Now, just a couple quick disclaimers before I get into it. This is going to be number 50 through 46 of my 100. All the movies in this list have the movie magic. Obviously, I love all of these movies, and I would recommend all of them to anyone pretty much. Maybe not everyone, but all these movies I love, so they have Mikey's movie magic, obviously. And all these movies that are run down in this list, I'm not going to get an in-depth review on each. Just going to say a couple of things that I like about it and why it's in my list, really. And also, this is just my opinion. Don't take this for just face value. Like, this is objective fact that these is the 100 best films of all time, because they're not. They're just my 100 top favorite films of all time. And now also know that this film changes. This list changes over the years. I mean, it hasn't changed much recently, but like, I watch a new movie, I see a new movie that comes out, and I give it some time, and then I watch it again, and then I watch it again. I'm like, oh, this is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. Some of these movies are pretty recent. I mean, again, I'm also 24. So I haven't watched an insane amount of classic movies, but I actually have one in my number 50 spot, and pretty much all of these are some classics. So without further ado, let's just get into it. So with number 50, we have 12 Angry Men, my first black and white film on here. And it's probably my favorite black and white film. I think 12 Angry Men is such a great film, and I think it's still a really relevant and great story today about, agreement and disagreement, and working out your differences and just finding common ground and what's the morally right thing to do. And just it's one of the first films, I believe, that's filmed in just one single isolated location. 12 men, part of a jury, go into the back room and decide the fate of this boy who may or may not have killed someone. So, yeah, does he deserve the death penalty or not? And, everyone pretty much, says yes, other than one person. And then he slowly convinces the entire room that he shouldn't put this boy to death. So it still holds up. I highly recommend watching it. It's one of the greatest films ever. 12 Angry Men is such a great film. Check it out. It's amazing. I couldn't recommend it enough. So, yeah. Now, moving on to number 49 here. Number 49, we have Steven Spielberg's Catch Me If You Can. One of my favorite Leonardo DiCaprio performances, for sure. Tom Hanks is in it. Christopher Walken's in it as well, in the very beginning. Such an underrated Spielberg film. I think this is one of Spielberg's best films, and I don't think a lot of people know about this one. This film is so good. It's so good. It has a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. The tomato meter. It has an 89 audience score. Okay, whatever. I would agree with the 96% because it's fucking amazing. This one is great. Especially if you like Leonardo DiCaprio, definitely watch this one. If you like Tom Hanks, definitely watch this one. It's so good. It's such a fun film. I think the intro is also just so cool. I think the music's great. It's such a great film. Definitely check this one out. I'm not gonna talk about what it's about, because just watch it because it's great. Catch Me If You Can is amazing, and it's directed by Steven Spielberg, stars Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks. What more do you need to know? Come on, honestly. So moving on to number 48, another classic, Daniel Day-Lewis, There Will Be Blood. I think this is Paul Thomas Anderson film. Another classic. I think this is Daniel Day-Lewis's probably best performance, or at least it's my favorite Daniel Day-Lewis performance. The whole like sort of an anti-hero story, the oil mogul, right? That's kind of how you oil pioneer, whatever. The same fucking thing. But anyway, There Will Be Blood is a great story. It's a dark one and has one of the best endings to a film ever. It's just a really great film. It's classic. You watch it for the performance, I believe, and Daniel Day-Lewis is he's just so good in this movie as Daniel Plainview. He's just so good. Paul Dano as well gives one of the best performances he's ever had. He's amazing in this one. Definitely check this one out. Paul Thomas Anderson is a really phenomenal director. And again, one of those directors who gets amazing performances out of his actors. And Daniel Day-Lewis is universally known as one of the greatest actors to ever live. And this is probably his best performance. So check this one out. Number 48, There Will Be Blood. So moving on to number 47. And we got Ridley Scott's Gladiator, starring Russell Crowe, Joaquin Phoenix, one of the best villain performances ever as Commodus. Gladiator is one of my favorite films of all time. Now, obviously, it's kind of known that this film is highly historically inaccurate. This is not historically accurate at all. I'm pretty sure Commodus was actually kind of a hero to Rome, I believe. I'm not a historian or everything, but you can check me on that. But still phenomenal. That's probably why the tomato meter is decently lower than I expected. It's a 77%, but the audience score is 87 because who gives a fuck about historical accuracy with a film like this, to be truthfully honest? I mean, it's just it's epic. That's the best word to describe this one. It's an epic. That's the genre. You gotta honor him. Honor him. Russell Crowe is amazing, probably his best performance. My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next. Gladiator is amazing, and I don't really need to say anything else about it because it's one of Ridley Scott's best films. I mean, it's not his best film, but it's one of his best films. Ridley Scott's one of the legendary director and definitely a visionary, and this one's no different. It's just epic. It's epically filmed as well. All the gladiator scenes are just so good. They're so cool. Fight scenes are epic. The ending is amazing. The music is phenomenal. I listen to that score regularly. So if that tickles your pickle, definitely check Gladiator out. So anyway, moving on to number 46. We have another 80s classic. John Hughes 80s film classic. We have Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Matthew Broderick, absolute magic. Fun fact, John Hughes, I believe, wrote this film in a week, which is kind of crazy. But it's just a classic skip school 80s film. The music's amazing, the performances. Matthew Broderick is amazing, iconic performance. Why are you still here? Go, leave. Oh man, so good. I love Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's just a classic. It has a 61 Metascore. Come on, Metacritic, get the fuck out of here. Ferris Bueller's Day Off is the shit. 1986 summer movie. How can you go to school on a day like this? I mean, I look outside right now and it's fucking gonna be storming soon, but Ferris Bueller's Day Off is one of the greatest. I think it's John Hughes' best, almost pretty much one of his best at least. One of the greatest 80s films ever. Ferris Bueller's Day Off is just classics, hilarious, memorable, really memorable, quotable as well. Cameron is hilarious. His fucking car, and they drive it off the garage, and his face. Oh my god. So good. Such a great film. I love that movie. Ferris Bueller's Day Off is great. If you haven't watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off, what are you doing? Watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's a classic. I haven't talked about whether or not these films are going to be rising and falling or not, but like I said in past segments in my episodes when I talk about my top 100, once you get like after 50 or close to 50, these positions usually don't change, and they really haven't changed through the years. I made this list like 5 years ago, and I'm pretty sure from 50 down, especially from like 30 down, they really haven't changed at all. So definitely, definitely classics here. And honestly, they're probably not going to be moving too much. But yeah, that's my top 100, guys, for this episode. That's 50 through 46. We still got like 45 to go. But, I'm looking forward to revealing more of them to you. Hello. Thanks for watching that clip of my episode of Nerd Out Sanctuary. I appreciate you watching. If you don't know, this is a video podcast about, movies, TV, video games, other types of entertainment, comic books, novels, maybe occasionally. I don't know. I don't really read that much, but when I do, I want to talk about it. So yeah, just know that there's a lot more of these, and I appreciate you if you give me a like and subscribe and watch more. If you're just if you're watching here on YouTube, know that this is also a podcast, an audio podcast. I'm on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play, so you can download my podcast episodes, listen to them while you're driving in the car, taking a shit, making dinner, doing your laundry, or whatever, when you're at work, when you're supposed to be working, but you're just kind of like, mindless, doing some mindless tasks while listening to my podcast. It's the shit. Hopefully you guys, get good recommendations out of me, and hope you guys keep enjoying my show. So yeah, thanks. And bye.